Hi everybody, it's Carol from CrinkledPath Journals, and it's time for a Sunday Snappy Snippets. Today, by request, I'm going to be going over 4 basic rules of composition for collage, kind of collage 101. And instead of doing a new collage, I thought I would go through my gratitude journal and do a little grading on my own collage designs and see how closely I stuck to the rules. Come on along! The 4 basic rules that I'm going to go over today are focal point, structure, leading lines, and cohesion. This is my gratitude journal, and these first 2 pages were really not collage. I have a card and this flip, and then just a cluster in the corner. So let's skip to the next one. And I did not work in order in this book. This was my first page, and I do have a playlist of all of the pages in here if you're curious about what the gratitude journaling is for on each page. The first rule is having a focal point. A focal point is a main item that draws the eye. One of the ways you can check if your focal point is standing out more than other things on the page is to squint your eyes and look at the blurred image and see what stands out as prominent. You can also check your color balance this way. The focal point should always be a clear element that is the main focus of the page. So maybe I got a C on making a focal point here, because these 2 things are kind of competing. Clearly here I have a main focal point. The next rule is structure, the rule of thirds. You want to divide the page horizontally and vertically into thirds, and you want to put elements that you want to be main focus on the intersections or along the lines. I did pretty good getting these things on one of the rule of third lines here. And my other elements on the page are also along these lines, except for this little pin, which I just added this here in the bottom corner because I didn't want to put it in the middle of the page where it would poke something on the other side. So it kind of got added after the collage, and it's there more for sentimental reasons than for composition. Let's go over to this page and check as well. Okay, I did a little better on this page. My focal point is clearly along the lines of this side. I didn't quite get this in the intersection, and I didn't quite get this in the intersection, but I was spot on getting her eyes on the horizon line, so I did a little better on this page. The next principle is leading lines. Using items, contrast, or texture to lead your eye around the page. We can use shapes, a curve, a circle, a serpentine, or a line. Could be horizontal, diagonal, or vertical. And then we also can use triangles. Let's look at this page here. This could be a curve, the way the elements come down the side of this page and come to here. Or you could look at these yellow elements, the flowers, this button, and then these squares that are intersecting kind of draw your eye to them in the larger picture. And it forms a triangle for your eye to go around. This page doesn't really have a collage. It just has this little cluster stapled down to the corner. So let's see what our next page is. This one has a lot of elements, but they are arranged in a circle. Instead of having one focal point, we used all the elements to draw the eye around the page. Yeah, I didn't get a focal point here. This page is made up entirely of just one focal point, so I wouldn't call this a collage either. Okay, let's look at this one. A little more complex. I would say the curve to kind of draw your eye along here. And let's talk about the next principle, which is cohesion. And you can bring cohesion into your collages by overlapping and grounding elements. We did that by this background paper. Everything touches it. There's not a space between. And these things overlap, all touching each other as well. Another one is outlining. Outlining can be stitching, ink, lines, dots, letters around an element. And the fact that we distress things with distress ink is considered a form of outlining. So I have a little of that going on there. Another part of cohesion is repetition. And I used the repeating pattern of my little genealogy here as a form of cohesion. The last is contrasting. So we use contrasting colors, sizes, textures, mood, and direction to help create cohesion on our page. The colors blend nicely on this page. The greens and oranges in this milk cap kind of blend with the greens and oranges in these florals. The florals are placed around the page to give your eye a cohesive view. And I already mentioned the repeating patterns. And then the contrast of this being very white because I wanted to stand out so you could read it. How did I do with my focal point on this page? My focal point was this family font here, and I did get it pretty close to the intersection. And then this cluster in the corner is on both the vertical and horizontal lines. Another solid B+. I'm not grading this page. Now I'm going to grade the tag because my whole collage is on this tag. This is an example of a leading line that's a serpentine. The top element starts here with the tab at the top. It goes to this little girl being held by Jesus, these florals, another photo here, and ends with this floral cluster here. The serpentine shape guides your eye through this page. And now I'm going to come in a little narrower because this is a tiny piece, dividing by thirds. Have the little girl's eyes right in that intersection. I have this little child in the intersection. And the other elements, like these florals, are also in line with the horizontal and vertical lines. I think this tag gets an A. Both of these compositions have strong leading lines that are horizontal. So in this one, we have this lace element. Everything is kind of hung off of that or stacked on top of it. And then in this one, I used the high contrast between the hill and the very white dog to create a horizontal line here on the page. And let's check our rule of thirds. So I've got this element, pretty much the brightest focal point on the page. Right in that intersection, I have my leading line that's horizontal right on that intersection. And then my other main elements, like the chickens and this girl, are pretty close to those vertical lines. This is another good, I would say, B+ or A-. Well, my puppy is definitely in line with this line here, but not quite. And my other farm animals are all on this line, which is great. This might have been better brought down just slightly because then this line would have been on that contrasting line and this line would have been at his eyes. Okay, it's another B. My main collage is here in the center. So my main focal point here is this woman in the frame. You can see how it's all shifted a little to the right of this page. I might have been able to cut this down a little more, but I really wanted the whole image on the page. So sometimes you have to break the rules, and really isn't that why we learn the rules? So we can break them. But my lady's in line, and then my other elements are along this other vertical line, and the frame is along the horizontal line. Everyone talks about the rule of threes with small colored elements like these three little red things. What's that principle? It's that leading line of a triangle, and your triangle can be big or small. It's kind of hard for me to show here, but I have a very small triangle. If these were all set in a row, which is an option too, if you're trying to just draw the viewer's eye down the page, you would put all three elements in a line. But I was trying to bring attention to the date over here and then back in towards my focal point. So using a triangle, any size, works as a way to move the eye around the page. I'll flip back through really quick and see if there's any more examples of the triangle that I missed. Here's another one of those triangles here. There is a triangle here. With this one, it's more of the oranges. Notice how this paper is the same, but I left the orange flowers out because I already had orange elements in this corner, that corner, and here. This page is really 3 separate collages. I don't even think you can see this bottom one. There we go. In this case, you would grade each of these because they're kind of standing alone. This is a small focal point here. This should have probably been here. And then the last one, my focal point are the books. And so they are in line with those intersections. Cohesion has to do with there being a blue book here, the blue here, and then the blue at the top of the page. I also used this yellow line to kind of give a vertical leading of your eye down the page. Another tag. The pocket creates repetition of pattern, and let's grade the tags separately. I didn't exactly get those pairs right in line with this side, so maybe if they had been over a bit more, it would have been more balanced. But this is an example of the 3 elements being directly in line and not in a triangle. I've gotten to the point where I know the rules and I just go by my eye and I don't actually get these tools out and use them. And maybe I need to do that again so that it really just hits spot on. I love all the things in this book. I'm not disappointed with them. And that's the bottom line with following the rules, is that if you love it, then it's fine. But if you want to get better at having the natural eye to just put the things on the page and get a B or an A- grade without having to pull the tools out, one of the ways you can do that better is by practicing with the tools. And I hope this helps you to feel like you have a better foundation to work from when you are doing collage. Now you can make a Sunday Snappy Snippet video. Just use the hashtag and give us your best junk journaling tip in 10 minutes or less. Your video doesn't have to be 10 minutes, just the tip. I really appreciate each of you who stop on my channel, watch my videos through, and leave such beautiful comments and encourage me to continue to make content that you like. I hope you enjoyed this today, and I'll talk to you in the next video.